So in this video, I'll be sharing how I drafted and stitched this beautiful beach hat. It's me, your girl, OJB Fashion Style. Kindly hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and let's get started. So first, I'm going to start by drafting the round top of the roof of our hat using this brown pattern paper. It's a squared shape paper folded twice, okay? And then I'll go ahead and take a measurement of 4 inches from the midpoint there. I will be repeating that same process at the middle, and I'm simply connecting all the points together using my curve rule. So I'm simply cutting it out now, and I have my round shaped paper. So this I went ahead to cut on my actual fabric. So I have two fabric here, two separate Ankara fabric. So I'll be folding it in the same pattern, and then I'll be placing it on top to cut out my shape. And as you can see, it is neatly cut. So I'm simply cutting out the sharp edges around the two sides so as to have a perfect circle. So after that, we'll be setting it aside so as to work on the circumference of the head, okay? So for an adult, the circumference is usually around 25 inches. So for mine, I used my dummy and it gave me 21 inches. But I'll be adding an extra 1 inch to it so as to have a little seam allowance. So on my pattern paper, I'm taking a measurement of 11.5 inches, okay? So my paper is actually in a fold, and that measurement I took there is 11.5 inches. So for the width, which is the measurement I'm taking now, I initially took a measurement of 6 inches. So the actual measurement is supposed to be 4 inches. So please take note of that, okay? So your hat would not be so high and not fit properly. So ensure you take a measurement of 4 inches. So another thing I'm doing now is going up by 2 inches, and then at the bottom also I went up by 2 inches. So this point we are going to curve back into the line, okay? So take note of that. So I'm simply connecting the points together, and then what I'm also doing there is going in by half an inch, okay? So I'm simply going to be connecting it back into the line like I said, and I'll be repeating it also at the base. So I'll also be connecting that point there back into the line. Now you can see that our pattern is curved, not straight anymore. So this I'll go ahead now and cut out from our pattern paper. This shape now, or this pattern, is what I will use to draft on my actual fabric. So here I have the main body or the circumference part of the head, not the top now. So I have cut out my actual fabric, as you can see. Please take note that it is two fabric, okay, because this is a reversible hat. So now we'll go ahead and set this aside so as to be able to work on the flare portion of our hat. So this fabric is what I'm going to be using to cut our flare, or the wider portion of the circle, okay? So I folded it in 4 now, and then I'm simply taking a measurement of 3.5 around the radius there. So that measurement there is 3.5, and I'll simply be connecting all the points together with my curve rule. So for the width of my flare, it is 8 inches. I don't want it to be very wide so as not to inconvenience me when I'm using it. So you could make yours wider or lesser. It depends on you. So I'll simply be connecting all the points together now, and then I'll go ahead to cut it out. So this part of the tutorial video is also a teaching on how to cut a flare, okay, a 360-degree flare. So in case you do not know how to cut a flare, this is a simple pattern for cutting it out. So now you can see that I had neatly cut out my round pattern, okay? And I went ahead to iron my interface on all the fabrics that I had cut out. So take note of that. It is important to attach your interface to your fabric so it will be firm, okay? So now I'll be working on them one after the other. So for the head circumference, which is the fabric I'm holding now, I'm going to be joining it together, and I'll be going to the sewing machine to close that opening as I'm indicating with my finger. So after I was done doing that, I simply went ahead to iron it out. So next, I'm attaching the flat round top or the roof portion to the circumference with my pin. So as you can see, the roof portion is depressed inward. So as you go ahead to hold it together with your pins, it will be, coming out gradually. So one thing you have to be careful of is, as you are attaching it, some portions might appear wider. So leave that wider portion out as you are seeing mine now, so your cap will not be depressed, okay? So this portion I'll be trimming out with my scissors. So ensure that as you are attaching it, that flat top portion comes out and is even. Leave out the excess, don't worry about it. You can always trim that out. So after I was done doing that, you can see my filler is already looking beautiful already. So next I'll be attaching it to the circle or the flare portion of it. So take note that this filler portion was a bit high. Remember, I told us I reduced it from 6 inches to 4 inches. So take note of that as well. So I'll be holding it to the flare using my pins as well, okay? So this I will do all round, and I will be repeating the same process for the other Ankara fabric. Remember, it is a reversible hat, so we are simply working on one portion. So there is still another one which will go through this entire process we are doing right now for this, okay? So next, I'll go ahead to the machine to stitch both together. So after I was done stitching, you can see that there is a portion left there that is excess. It is normal to have that, okay? So it mustn't be that you're trying to force all the entire fabric into it, else you'll be folding some portions and your hat would not come out neat. So what I'm simply doing now is trying to use my pin to hold that portion all the way through so as to be able to trim it out. You can simply go ahead and make a stitch as I'm indicating with my finger, and then trim it out. So this I did, and as you can see, I have my hat both neatly done, okay? So what I'm simply doing now is placing both hats, the separate fabric into one another. Please ensure that it is the right sides facing each other, as you can see, okay? So it's the right sides facing each other. And then what you're seeing now is the portion of the interface, which is the same thing on the other side as you see as well. So I'm simply using my hands to fit it in properly. And then I'll be going to the sewing machine to stitch around as I'm indicating with my finger. And then ensure you leave out space or a little portion that we'll be using to flip our hat over to the right sides, okay? So now I'm done stitching it. As you can see I left out a bigger portion of allowance, okay? So I like the edges around my hat to be thick, so that's why I left out that portion. And now I'm simply flipping my hat over to the right side. And so for the portion that has an opening there, I would go ahead and close it using my thread and needle. And then I went ahead to iron it out. And as you can see, My heart is looking neat. At this point, if you are yet to subscribe, kindly hit the subscribe button and give your girl a thumbs up. So that's basically it for the making of our beach heart. I'll be seeing us on the next one. Bye.